Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us here today. We'll give it a second while we've got folks joining. If you could let us know in the chat where you're joining from today, that would be awesome. Just we see people coming in. We're really glad to have you here today. We're kicking off the very first day of our 4th annual Rustici the Gathering. So we're so excited that you're here with us today. Got some folks from Philly, Iowa. Oh, yeah. Very cool. For this session, we're going to be kind of digging in and talking about ways that you can level up your learning platform and how Rustici's newest product release, Rustici Generator, can maybe help with that. See some folks from Canada, cool. Orlando. I was just in Orlando this weekend. How cool. Very cool. Good to see y'all today. So starting off with our retro gaming experience here, we've got our player select screen. You have got player 1 and player 2 here to guide you through your session today. So my name is Elizabeth, and I've been with Rustici for just over 4 years, and I'm a client success manager.
Hey, and I'm Caleb. I'm also on the client success team here at Rustici, and I've been here for the last 3 years.
Got an extra shout out today. We've got a couple other Rusticians supporting us today. We're really lucky to have Stephen Kalnowski, principal engineer, joining us as a producer today. So you'll be hearing from him in the chat. And we've also got Josh, our product marketing manager, as our host in AirMeet. So as I'm looking today, I really want to share with you all, Caleb and I are going to share our perspectives. In our roles as CSMs, we're talking with people every day about their initiatives, what problems they're looking to solve, and what is it that they're hearing from their customers. So we won't be getting super technical today, or we won't be covering how to build out software features. Neither Caleb nor I are developers, so we're really going to work to stay in our own lane here. Our broader goal and kind of a really big part of our jobs and what we do every day is just to see what problems are there in the e-learning industry. What problems are people facing? And how can we at Rustici help provide a solution that can help get you there? So all of that to say, we're here to provide some thoughts from that perspective. And we want to not only provide, some information, some insights and solutions, but really encourage you to get curious about what's possible within your learning platform and how you and your teams can best level up your users' experiences.
Perfect. So just to give a quick agenda for our session today, we're going to start off by focusing on some themes of things that we're hearing in the industry, specifically talking about some new technologies or features that we're hearing are going to bring learning platforms to the next level. This is really going to kind of pair nicely with the last session if you joined with the AI panel. But after that, we're going to talk about what we're identifying as a common obstacle that gets in the way of some of these goals and of implementing some of these features. And then we're going to round things out by exploring ways that our API-driven service, Rustici Generator, can help out and help overcome that obstacle in order to build out these next-gen features.
So today, we'd really love for this session to be interactive. We want to hear your feedback, your questions throughout. We'll have some time at the end for Q&A as well. So please feel free, as questions are coming up, drop them in the chat for us and we'll get to those. But first things first, I've seen where folks are coming in from, but we'd really like to learn a little bit more of those of you, or a little more about those of you that are joining us today. If you could share maybe what's your role? What company are you with? We'd like to learn more about what it is that you're doing each day. Ooh, Director of Learning Ecosystems. E-learning advisors. Ooh, more customer helpers. Awesome. LXD development. Oh, this is great. Very good. Caleb, it sounds like we've got the right
Yeah,
people here with us today. This is
perfect.
awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome. Good, guys. This is great.
awesome.
Seeing some familiar names in the chat as well. It's wonderful to see you all.
Very good.
Some
Yeah,
of
that's cool to
everything
see.
that's relatable.
Very good. Yeah, thanks for everyone responding there. That's cool. It just helps us to know who we're speaking to. So that's great. Um, Perfect. So yeah, keep those coming if you'd like. But we'll go ahead and jump into the first section of our session here. So the first thing that we're going to talk about, where are learning platforms going next? So these are a few notes. There's a few categories that we've put together just based off of what we're hearing from folks in the industry about the roadmap, specifically for where they're going to take their learning platforms in the next years ahead. So up first, chatbots or assistants, digital assistants. So this is obviously something that's front of mind for a lot of people. This is, for the past few years, we've been hearing a ton of interest in adding this type of interactive functionality into learning platforms. Often the point here is to connect and integrate with the platform and the content to expand the user experience and add some sort of interactive, layer to that. So this could take the form of a virtual tutor to review the other content that's in the platform in a personalized chat experience, or depending on the industry and the use case, we're hearing a lot of interest in role play scenarios to like supplement other content that's there. We're also hearing about using this sort of functionality to generate like personalized learning feedback or maybe suggestions to users based off of their interactions within the platform. All of these things, the common thread here is that the real power is really in taking like a general off the shelf large language model and grounding it in things living in the learning platform, whether that's learning content or other user data or analytics. And really that's an opportunity to combine that LLM, the large language model, with that platform and end up with a user experience that is kind of more than the sum of those parts, if that makes sense.
Cool. And in addition to being able to interact with that content in a new way with a chatbot or a tutor, we're also hearing a desire to improve search functionality in learning platforms so that learners can more easily access the best content for their needs. Is there a way to work smarter and to better empower your learners? How can you provide a better experience for your learners to find and discover the right content within your platform? So, more often than not, learners, if they're searching for content within an LMS, it can be pretty limited. The search functionality may only be able to rely on limited resources in order to conduct the search. Often, just items like maybe the course title or a short description. But these courses, as you know, they're robust and chock full of information and artifacts like videos, audio, images, things like that are in many cases just simply not currently included in the range of search capabilities as they exist now. But what if a learner could search for content based on the entire contents of that course, or search broadly through an entire library or catalog of content? Could they dial in to more specifics and find more pertinent content for them? So we're hearing that folks have really determined a need for developing smarter, more thorough searching, having related themes across a whole catalog of content, and even having better suggestions or offering related searches to help learners more easily access the most relevant content for them.
Another area that's kind of similar to that, but we're also hearing the desire to bring a layer of automation into sorting through large libraries of content. And tagging those or categorizing the content that's within a system. This could be something also like mapping a set of skills onto a content library. The point of all of these kinds of approaches would be to make content more discoverable within a platform, similar to what Elizabeth was saying about search. But also, this step would relate and lead to the next topic that Elizabeth is going to highlight here.
Yeah, thanks. How can you ensure that your learners have the opportunity for the best, most relevant content for them? Is there a way, can you leverage things like generative AI, course tagging to offer a more customizable experience for your learners? We're hearing a lot of interest around how to best personalize the content that's available for your learners through designing things like learning pathways, curriculum mapping, or even things like course playlists and more. So, in leveraging these tools, you can create a personalized learning experience that's really tailored for each individual learner and their needs by analyzing the full contents of a course package to offer up the best next step for your learners on their journey to really leveling up their skill sets.
Another area that we're seeing a lot of interest in is using an LLM driven approach to generate additional content, or maybe content to supplement the courses or media that are already available and within the platform. So this could look like automating the creation of quizzes or knowledge checks for courses that don't already have some sort of assessment built into them. Or maybe this is taking the information from within a course and presenting it in a different way, like generating a bulleted list of key concepts, or creating job aids from longer packaged courses, uh, creating little study guides or that kind of thing. Lots of possibilities in this category, but we're hearing a lot of interest, not just on the instructional design side, but specifically within learning platforms, of being able to have some content generation to supplement the other content that is there.
So, Caleb and I have kind of done just a brief overview of some of the very top things that we're hearing in the industry. And we've noticed a common thread kind of woven throughout all of these. And that's that these features really rely on being able to access and repurpose e learning content and make it more discoverable. So, the Fosway Group actually put out a report recently on this exact thing, the interest and the actual adoption or implementation of these types of next gen features in learning platforms. And what they've seen is that while there's a widespread roadmap commitment from learning platform vendors to implement these types of features, many haven't actually gotten off the ground yet or gotten to a point where you're able to go live with learners yet. So that's kind of the lay of the land as we've seen it as well. There's a lot of interest and excitement. There's hype, there's buzz about developing and implementing these types of things. And that's consistent what we're hearing from our customers, what research is showing. But while the interest is there, there's some friction and some roadblocks along the way to getting there. So now that we've kind of identified the trends, where folks are headed with their product roadmaps, what does it really take for you to be able to get there, to be able to repurpose your content in your platforms and actually utilize these features? So all of these emerging features that we've mentioned require being deeply connected with the content that is in your learning platform. For these types of features, it's not enough to stick with just surface level. The real opportunity here is for you to be able to drill down into the themes and the subject matter and the details of that content that's within your platform in order to repurpose that data for these other workflows. Really, in order for any of these things, whether it's the chatbots, an enhanced search, quiz generation, or creating custom learning paths, in order for any of these to be the best that they can be, the first step is to process and extract everything that's inside of the content. That's including the text, video, images, audio, it is imperative for you to be able to surface all of the contents inside of an e-learning package. And once you've got what's on the inside, there's now a need to normalize the structure of this data so that it can actually be repurposed for use within these advanced enhanced features. There's got to be a way to make sense of all of this information in a streamlined and meaningful way, regardless of the format that the content was in, or in how it was made, or what authoring tool was used. You should be able to access and repurpose the meat of that content, whether it was authored using Articulate Storyline or Adobe's Captivate, whether it was a SCORM package or in a PDF.
So just to illustrate this concept and following our gaming theme here, on the left, we've got our two characters, and they're actually holding briefcases full of content. This would be the content or data or learning content that's within a platform. And then on the right, we have these next gen features that we've been talking about. And all of these features depend in some way upon repurposing the stuff that's in those briefcases, right? The courses, documents, media files, whatever is in the platform. So in order to get to the features on the other side of this ravine, the bridge that we need is being able to parse and extract the text and audio of that content. So before we do this step, before we have this bridge, the instructional content just is what it is. It's a course or a PDF or something like that. And it's meant for a user to, have that experience where they're clicking through it or reading it. But with this bridge in place and being able to parse that content and extract everything within it, suddenly the content can be repurposed for other more dynamic user experiences, or it can mean that it becomes far easier to connect content or to connect users to the content that that they should be interacting with next. So looking at this specifically with like building out an integrated chatbot in your platform, the first step is the same. We just need to parse that content that's in your platform. We're going to get all the data within those courses and documents, and then suddenly our little chatbot friend is leveled up, and he's holding the briefcases full of that content, and he's ready to do all the chatbot things because it can now access the content that's within the briefcases. And now it's not just a generic chatbot. It's not like just going to ChatGPT and typing in a question. Like, it's kind of super powered with the all the reference info that's within the content within your platform. So that's kind of the idea that we're exploring here and what we're talking about.
So, like Caleb said, content parsing is really the bridge to connect you to being able to implement these next gen features. Step one, you've really got to be able to extract everything out of your content in order to repurpose it. But we've identified a potential obstacle here because e-learning content is kind of like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. While your packages may be wrapped in that creamy chocolate coating, the insides may all be different. Caramel, nougat, cherry, or my favorite, coconut. Content from different sources can be packaged differently. Even if all the content standardized like SCORM, that doesn't mean that the data itself is formatted in the same way within that package. Each authoring tool kind of has its own flavor or approach here regarding how the contents of the package are formatted.
Yeah, and this is a good moment to highlight what e-learning standards are and what they aren't. So the standards are standardizing how the package interacts with the platform, how interactions and results are tracked, that kind of stuff. It's really all about making things play nicely together within the e-learning ecosystem. But the standards themselves don't really care about what's inside the package, like the textual content itself. How that textual data is stored or structured can wildly vary from one package to another because it really depends on how that course was authored. In that sense, in the past, here at Rustici, we've kind of tended to treat that package course as a bit of a black box, not really caring as much about like what's in it as much as focusing on making sure that it was imported and launched clearly, or that we could track the results, or we've also focused on like helping with distribution of that content, or packaging it in the first place. But with so many folks in the industry exploring ways to repurpose the data that's within those courses, like we've been talking about earlier in this session, we've really started to drill into the particulars of how text and audio is being stored and formatted within courses. And getting at that is tedious, it's tough, but it's the necessary first step for being able to parse and extract all that textual content from within a course in order to do the cool stuff that we've been talking about. So this is kind of the direction that we've been moving in with Rustici Generator, and I'll let Elizabeth kind of speak to this a little bit on this slide. Oh, Elizabeth, I think you might have gone on mute there.
I muted myself. Man, rookie mistake. So we've talked through the buzz that we're hearing in the industry, and we've uncovered what we believe is kind of the major obstacle that folks are running into with trying to implement these things. So now we're going to switch and kind of shift gears here to a solution that can help get you there. Like Caleb mentioned, at Rustici, we really tend to dig in to take on what might be boring or tedious challenges as our most important work in order to best support our customers, so that you all can focus on doing what you do best, developing these fun, exciting, creative new features. That's where you can focus on your energy, creating the best learning platform on the market. And that's why we launched Rustici Generator earlier this year, to really help tackle this very problem. So what is Rustici Generator? You've heard us reference it a million times already today. It's an API-driven solution that's able to parse packaged content, media files, and web content. Step one, once Generator has the content, it extracts all of the text and transcribes both audio and video. It makes that extracted text and the transcripts available for use in these downstream workflows. So before you're able to accomplish developing the next gen features in your platform, you've got to be able to get all that good stuff out of your content. Kind of like what Caleb showed us earlier, being able to parse your e-learning content really is the bridge to making these enhanced features a reality. Are you interested in developing an integrated chatbot? In order to supercharge that bot, it's got to have access to everything that's inside your content. We've seen where folks have begun to develop these with really limited resources, only accessing a small fraction of the information about a course, usually something like a title or a brief description. And Generator is the tool that you need to parse through your content library, making all of that text, video, audio accessible so that you can then go spend energy in making your chatbot the best that it can be. Do you want to access every bit of information inside your content so that it's actually searchable and can be surfaced in your platform so that your learners can find the content that they need? Historically, the search bar, similarly, might just be looking at titles or short descriptions, maybe a tag or two on a course, but if you can access all parts of the content using something like Generator, now your search bar is actually searching through the whole course or a whole content library or catalog. Generator is the tool that will parse all the parts of your content so that you can access it to enhance your search capabilities. Now you're able to empower your learners by helping them be able to discover the best content for them. Caleb's going to tell us a little bit more about some specifics with Generator.
Yeah, thanks, Elizabeth. So drilling in a bit more to particulars here with Generator specifically, let's talk about what sorts of content can be imported into Generator. So first, we've got media files. So that's going to be like MP4, MP3, PDF, transcripts. If you have a like VTT formatted transcript of audio, you can put that transcript in the Generator. It can receive that. Web content, like web pages that has text on it, or just raw text is also something that can be imported through the API. But where Generator really shines and stands out is with packaged content from authoring tools. So This could be SCORM or other content types that are coming out of some of the top authoring tools that are on the market. This list here is the list of the tools that we currently have full support for, and we're growing this list. But this is what we currently have uh, in our documentation as what we're currently fully supporting for Generator. If there's content that comes from another authoring tool that's like packaged to SCORM, and you feed that to Generator, Generator is going to make its best attempt at parsing that content. But the list here is what we fully support and should get all of the text within the content from those formats. So that's the inputs. Let's talk a little bit about what you can get out of Rustici Generator, what comes out on the other side. I'm going to dive into each one of these, but at a high level, there's kind of 3 areas here. So first up is extracted text of the content. So Generator, when you put content into it, it's going to parse the text of that imported content. If there's any audio or video, it's going to make transcriptions of that audio and video, and any text, it's just going to grab that text. And then the entire course text is available via Generator's API. So this could be exported as raw text or as structured JSON format. So what's really cool about the structured format is that it has location tags, and I'll show an example of this in a little bit, but that's going to highlight what slide or page of the course, or if it's audio or video, the timestamp there. And I'll also kind of touch on the second output here, the content search results. So kind of like Elizabeth was talking about earlier, Generator is able to search through the full course text across a whole library, or just with selected courses. There's 2 ways that this search functionality can operate. So first is what we call a lexical search. So this is kind of like a dictionary definition lookup, but what it's a little bit smarter than that, because it's using the lexeme, or like the root of the word. So it is word for word, but it's going to conjugate it, right? So an example here, if you have the word jump and that's the search query, Generator is also going to surface the word itself as well as its various forms, like jumping, jumper, jumps, right? But what's really cool is the semantic search. So this is more conceptual mapping. So this search is based on related words or phrases with similar meanings. So the example here that I gave of jump, with semantic search, it would also return like hop, skip, leap, right? So Generators, because of both of these features, it's providing kind of a revolutionary way to surface what's in your courses, because you're able to search the entire content of the course, and you're not just limited to searching the metadata of a course. You can actually dig in and do either a lexical or a semantic search of the whole content.
Cool. So Generator can also take the extracted text from the course and generate course metadata. This includes things like what we would call a plug or a blurb, a summary, even suggested titles or keywords. Now, given the nature of working with generated text like this, we've been really intentional in the design of Rustici Generator around the concept of keeping a human in the loop. So, sort of a practical example of this. If you want to just surface this sort of functionality in your platform, maybe where one of your clients' admins could generate a course summary after uploading new content, you can configure Generator to provide 3 or 4 suggested options for them to choose from. And then you could allow them to edit or tweak the outputs as needed before it's actually published in your platform. So basically, these metadata fields that Generator can produce are suggestions based upon the full text of the course. It's designed intentionally with flexibility here so that your admins can use it in a way that really works best for them. So it gives them a starting point, or kind of a kickstart. All in all, utilizing the course metadata generation in Rustici Generator is going to give your team a bit of a boost and save time and resources that they can dedicate elsewhere. And Generator's course metadata generation doesn't stop there. Here we have first a skills list. If you have a skills taxonomy or a custom list of skills for your industry that are important for your learners, you're able to import a list of those skills. If you don't have a set list of skills to provide, Generator can actually compile a suggested list based on the content that has been imported. Generator can also assist with what I would describe as light assessment generation, things like basic multiple choice questions and answers that review the covered topics in the learning content. With these outputs, I'll just restate the point from the previous slide here with metadata generation. It's intentionally designed in Generator for you to have some flexibility, to have that human in the loop that has the opportunity to review, edit, make some tweaks, and choose what works best for them before it goes live in the platform. So now that we've kind of talked about, the trends that we're seeing, obstacles, and kind of given an overview of Rustici Generator, Caleb's going to walk us through an example workflow utilizing Rustici Generator.
Perfect. Thanks, Elizabeth. So like we've said, Generator is an API-driven solution. There's not a user interface that is shipped with Generator. We do have kind of an internal demo tool that I'll show some screenshots of in a moment, but I wanted to illustrate this in a clean way here on the slide. So on the left, in this example, let's say you have a SCORM course and you import that into Generator. So it's going down the pipe. And then, the very first thing that we're looking at is that extracted text. So this is kind of a snippet. I've shortened some of the text here. You see the dot, the ellipses, but the actual output, of course, from the API, result is going to have the full text of, each slide or page within that content. And you can see here those location tags. So this example course that I'm talking about is a course that's all about coffee. And so there's location tags that, refer to each section of that course and, where that text is pulled from. So once we have that extracted text within Generator, here's another example of what we can do next. So like Elizabeth was just sharing a little earlier, Generator can suggest new metadata fields like a summary that is all based off of that course text. So here's an example of what that would look like. As you can see, we have a few sentences here that give a general overview of the themes and topics that are covered within the course. And you can ask Generator to produce a few of these summaries, 1 or 3 or 5, however many you want. And you have the opportunity to review those, as Elizabeth was describing earlier. So here's another example, right? We've got that extracted text from the course. Instead of a summary, let's say that we want to generate some basic quiz questions, to make some sort of simple knowledge check about the course. So, here's 2 out of a list of those that would be generated. That's going through the course. It's passing that extracted text, within Generator to a large language model and producing these generated questions and answers. There's some distractor answers within there, and then an accurate answer, and it tells you which one is the correct one. So this is another example, and this is a screen grab from our internal, demo UI that we've built around Generator. But this is showing the generation of suggested titles for a course. And, from there, in our UI, the way we've built it using the endpoints within Generator, the user is actually prompted to select the preferred title out of a list of several. And then you have the opportunity to hit the little edit button and make some changes. This is that human in a loop concept, right? So in this case, hey, I like that title, but I'm going to change it to say Coffee Chronicles instead of caffeine. So it's a little bit more clear of a title. So you have that ability to build things the way that makes sense within your platform using the Generator API. So another example here to think about, let's say that you've added a lot of different types of content into the mix, and this is all in your platform, and you've shared all of this with Generator, via the API. So this could be SCORM, media files like PDF, MP3, MP4, XAPI content. But Generator is able to take all that info from the courses and share that back with your platform, and also have it for future use. So if we think about using Generator with a custom chatbot within your platform, when I should clarify here, because I saw a few questions about this, Generator itself is not a chatbot. We don't have like a chat endpoint within Generator's API today, but you can use the outputs from Generator alongside like a chatbot functionality that you've built into your platform, in those kinds of workflows. So, but let's say that you have that built out, and a user within your platform has taken a few courses on coffee. We're going to stick with that theme, and they want to review a specific question they have about what different types of coffee are exported from Brazil. So they could type this question into a chatbot within your platform, and rather than just giving a generic answer in the background, your platform could interact with the Generator API to search through the content to find like relevant sections of courses and surface that. So, this is an example of, hey, we found a match, within that All About Coffee course, where it's talking about Brazil and what kind of coffee it's producing. So that could be passed back to the large language model that's powering your chatbot experience as, reference material for that interaction. And then within your application, that chatbot could summarize an answer for the user that's based off of the content living within your platform. And it could even, possibly, like I've kind of illustrated here, like point them back to the full course for additional info or, review. So again, all of these examples that I just showed, this is kind of just meant to be some basic examples to give you ideas of what Generator is capable of doing. The general idea here is that with Generator, it's now possible to actually like repurpose packaged learning content, taking it beyond just the learner interacting with that course experience into other experiences or creating other resources within your platform. And if anyone wants, a more specific demo or, extended demo, of course, feel free to reach out to anyone on the Rustici team at any point. And, we'll have some of the questions that have been asked, we'll have to spend a little bit more time, maybe follow up, after the session. But, just kind of in summary, I know we covered a lot of ground. First, we talked through aspirations for what folks want to add into their learning platforms, and what we're hearing from customers that we're talking to, or things in the industry with reports. But then we kind of identified that obstacle that gets in the way of that, which is there's a lot of data that's tied up in packaged content, and how do you get at that? And the solution that we kind of discussed was Rustici Generator as a way to solve that problem, and how it can help you to expand the capabilities of your platform by repurposing that content for other uses. Quickly, before we have some time to field a few questions here, we did want to highlight as well some session recommendations. Obviously, if you missed the AI panel that happened right before this, there will be a recording available. But there's some other things coming up that we feel are kind of related to this topic that you might be interested in. So I've got those on the screen, and please join those and continue the discussion there.
Yeah, and if you weren't able to join the AI panel this morning that happened right before our session, AirMeet's pretty quick getting recordings up, so check back later in the day or even tomorrow. The recording's probably going to be in the platform for you to access. I know there's a lot of great questions and discussion there as well. So we've got a few questions that have been rolling in. We'll take a look over here. I know Caleb kind of touched on some of this, that things like creating a chatbot, that isn't something that Generator itself does. It's kind of the stepping stone for you to be able to build out that functionality for yourselves. Is Generator secure is a question. People having a lot of questions from clients, and obviously makes sense, concerned about things like that. So Generator's language model is not trained with customers' course content. We've got some technical documentation that we can share in the chat that'll kind of speak to that. We offer Rustici Generator a couple of different ways. We can host for you. We have ISO and SOC 2 certifications, but we also offer this as an option for folks to self-host if you have certain requirements there. So Somebody has asked, what if we don't want all LMS content parsed? So we have some highly proprietary content that is for use by nominated learners only, and it should not be parsed. That's a great question, and one I've actually had from one of my own customers with Generator. So yeah, so this is an opt-in. You can select which customers have their content subject to parsing. I think we might have a link to something coming for that.
I see another question here. What about PPTX, like PowerPoint
Yeah.
files? Currently, that's not one of the supported, you know, file types for importing into Generator, but PDF is. So, or video. So if it's a pretty static PowerPoint and you're able to convert that to a PDF, then that could be passed into Generator. Or if it's a more dynamic thing, and you'd had some way to convert that into a video format, that could be received. But currently, PowerPoint is not one of the supported content types.
I want to point out, Josh Darpino just shared in the chat, if you want to reach out to our team about learning more or getting an actual demo with us of our demo UI that Kayla kind of showed briefly earlier, please reach out to us. We really want to hear what it is that you're working on and where you're headed. Maybe similar to these situations, but maybe something different. We'd love to get to talk to you. He shared a link for how you can just reach out and contact us and set up some time to dig into your own specific use case a little bit more. There's only so much that we're able to cover in this time.
I do see a question about whether Generator can run completely on-prem without connection to the general internet. My understanding, and this is probably a good conversation to follow up with, but my understanding with that is when we talk about, we can host it for you or it can be on premise. The on premise, we're still referring to there's resources within AWS and different like access to large language models that at this point in time would be connected to the internet in some way. It wouldn't be like totally air gapped on your side. But if you're hosting that, then you would have the control of managing that without us hosting it for you. So that's kind of the distinction that we're referring to, not so much like running totally offline.
That was a good clarification.
Yeah. Another question I see here: can a company's own skill taxonomy be utilized? It looks like Stephen might have already answered that in the chat, but the answer is yes. There's an opportunity, or there's an option within Generator to upload a list of skills, and then that list is what Generator is going to share with the language model for comparing the extracted text of the course with that specific list of skills to try to make matches to assign skills specifically from that list that you've uploaded to the course based off of the course content. Great question. Let's see. Are there any other questions? I'm seeing, are there any capabilities for describing static images or parsing things like diagram? I believe that's something that's still in the works at this point in time. Currently, the parsing is going to grab the just the text and any audio from audio files or video files. But currently, I do not believe that we're grabbing any screen text that's within a picture or something like that. That's something still being developed. I know there's a few other questions. I don't know, because I think we're right at the end of our slot.
Yeah.
So we might have to wrap things up here. But thank you to everyone who joined today and for keeping the chat very active and participatory. That's fantastic. Any other questions that come to mind, or anything else that we can help with, or if you'd like an extended conversation around this, or to see a little bit more of a demo at any point, feel free to reach out to info@rusticisoftware.com. That's the best way to get in front of the team for conversations like this. We're happy to answer any additional questions over email and continue the conversation there. So again, thanks everybody for joining. Hope this was helpful and informative, and got some light bulbs going off, and the ideas spinning. So thanks, everyone.
Cool. Thanks, y'all. Have a good one.